Hi, my name is Emma and let's talk spooky stuff. Hi, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. I'm excited to break down another month of what I watched via Letterboxd. But before we jump straight into what I've been watching, I want to thank today's sponsor, Surfshark, who allow me to watch all of this content. Surfshark is a VPN, which stands for Virtual Private Network. Not only do they encrypt your data and keep you safe online, they also protect your identity, and bonus, they unlock geo-blocked content. So say if I wanted to unlock a series on America's Netflix, I can type in the country I want to go to or even the state, and with a click of the mouse, I live there and now I can access all of the geo-blocked content to that region. Surfshark is the most user-friendly VPN I've used, and I pay out of my own pocket. I just signed on for my second year. I love this VPN so much, and it's really opened a lot of doors for me. Best part is they have a risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't satisfied with the product, you can cancel within 30 days and you'll get your money back. So if you're thinking about it, just give it a go. You have nothing to lose. If you want to sign up to Surfshark today, use the link down in the description below, and also use the code SPOOKY for 83% off and 3 months extra for free. Thank you so much to Surfshark for sponsoring this video and unlocking so much content for me. Now, are you ready? Let's get into it. We're using Letterboxd. The link is in the description down below if you're ever curious. I get a lot of questions what application I'm using, and it's always Letterboxd. Okay, May, I watched a lot this month. Probably, maybe average, but a lot. So I started off the month in an interesting way. I watched 28 Days Later, and it's probably been at least 10 years since I've seen this, maybe. But I have to say, it was a little bit different than what I remember. It's so extreme, and not even the zombie parts. There's a lot of SA in this film that I totally forgot was in there. One of my favorite zombie films. I know I'm not a big zombie fan, but it's definitely one that I really gravitate towards or remember being so good. And I think for the time it was really interesting and different, but since this has happened, we've had a lot of apocalyptic zombie kind of films. And I know beforehand, but this was a game changer at the time because it was more realistic. It's just so interesting to rewatch this now, and yeah, it just hits a little bit different. It's really hard to watch these kind of movies. I'm not one who really loves watching the post-apocalyptic films during this time in the world. It really bums me out, but I don't know if some people find comfort in it, like, you know, horror movies in general. Let me know if you find comfort in watching these post-apocalyptic films right now, but I definitely don't. But yeah, very interesting. I would love to hear if any of you have watched this one or rewatched this one recently, and if your opinion changed. I think I used to think this film was like an 8 out of 10, and I gave it a 7, so maybe just one down. I watched Fried Barry. I have a whole review on this. This is a South African film about a man who's abducted by an alien while he's on a trip, and there's a lot of theories about if he is abducted, if he's not, if he's just tripping. The visuals for this film are insane, really cool and interesting ideas, but for me, it lacked a lot of soul, but I guess it's probably not what it was really going for. It is called Fried Barry after all. I watched Things Heard and Seen. A lot of you were asking me about this one actually. It is, would I say fantasy? Maybe. I believe it's based on a book. Hopefully I'm correct about that. It's on Netflix. It's a haunting. It's a haunted story about a woman in this house and her relationship, which is really strange, and her connection with people in the house. I thought it was a cool haunted story, but trigger alert, deals with like eating disorders. I was not ready for that. And yeah, I thought it was okay, but it's quite predictable. But it's a good background haunting, I would say. There's not a lot of haunted films at the moment. So I gave it a 6 out of 10. It was okay, but it was nothing groundbreaking. A simple favor, I've seen this film before. I actually saw it when it came out in theaters, and I couldn't remember the twist. If you've seen the trailer, it's like, it's not a murder mystery. Oh, it kind of is like a murder mystery about these two friends who, they become friends through their children, and then one day one of them just like mysteriously disappears. The way it's put together, Anna Kendrick, her character, She has this blog, or like a vlog, I guess, like this, and she does cooking shows. It's more live streams. So she's kind of telling the story through that, and I think that's a really interesting way of telling a story. I believe this is based on a book as well. I could be wrong about that. But I forgot like what the mystery was and who did it and all that kind of stuff. So I rewatched it, and it's a really kooky movie. I know I've been using the word kooky, but kooky is unusual and strange, and I do think that this is kooky. It's a very odd kind of genre bending film, but I don't know, I kind of enjoy it. I don't know if you guys like it. I think it's kind of cool. If you're on the edge about it, definitely watch it. Gave it a 7, so yeah. I watched this movie Applesauce, and I can hardly remember it because it was the bane of my existence. I was trying to find some cool, like, kooky for the video I've just done, movies, and of course I watch a whole bunch of different movies to find for those lists. And this movie called Applesauce was on Tubi. I never know whether to say Tubi or Tubi, so I'm saying Tubi. And what's the worst thing you've ever done? Watch this movie. No, I'm not. That's so harsh. Oh, look, other people agree. Oh, look, Oleg! Oleg! That's my friend Oleg. He watched the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. No. This movie I just thought was awful. It's about... It's kind of a mumblecore. It's about these relationships between this group of friends and them talking about the worst thing they've ever done, and then one man starts receiving body parts, like, to his door. It's kind of stupid. I don't know what to say. People praise it. Like, it was really interesting. I read the reviews, and I think the creators of this are quite well known for doing this kind of like weird comedy. So I think if that's your niche, maybe it's for you. But it's definitely not for me. I watched Stowaway, which I was not going to watch this, and then I realized Toni Collette's in it. I didn't even see her when I looked at the poster initially. So this is a Netflix astronaut thriller drama. It's quite slow, predictable, but I mean, it's still like, it's got all the atmosphere you want with a space film. I don't have to really say what it's about. It's a space movie, and it's called Stowaway. So someone's on board. And they have to deal with a dilemma with not knowing they had an extra passenger. Other than that, there's not a lot in this film. I thought there was going to be a grand reveal or a big twist, and there's not really. It's just kind of like a slow and somber film. But I mean, if you have Netflix, I do think it's worth it. It's got a nice atmosphere. And if you do like movies set in outer space, it's probably worth your time. I watched Initiation. This is one of the films I was talking about that I was really excited to review in my what's coming out this month. Of course, there'll be another video coming up in a few days for June, so keep an eye out for that. Initiation, this is meant to be cool, like social media horror about like whodunit, murder, slasher in a college. It turned out to be one of the worst films I watched this year. But look, people like it. Not everything's for everyone, but this film was just unwatchable for me. And I actually had a couple of you message me and say you loved it. So, again, each to their own. But it turned out to be less a slasher and more of a strange drama about SA in school. So I was not expecting that. I thought it was going to be like this cool, like, teenage slasher. The trailer is completely opposite to what the film is actually like. So yeah, I feel like I've been really negative so far, but the next one, I was so happy. That's my chef's kiss, by the way. I'm so excited to talk about. It's Notes on a Scandal. Who let me live 31 years on Earth without telling me that this movie was so worthy? Notes on a Scandal is one of those films you always see the poster for, and you're always like, oh yeah, Notes on a Scandal. This film is my jam. I live for it. No, I don't, but I will die for it. No, I won't. Maybe. Let me set the scene. Judi Dench and Cate Blanchett, teachers, opposite backgrounds. One has a scandal. The other one, obsessed with her. You know how I feel about obsession. This isn't quite stalker, a little bit, but this is a twisty-turny thriller drama about this woman who's just bit off more than she can chew, and this other woman who knows her secret. And I loved every moment of it. If you watched the Does This Offend You recently, I did with Nightmare Maven. I made a paper mache head of a bear. I did that we were talking about Midsummer. And I watched this movie while I was making that, and it was probably the best Friday night I've had in a couple of years. I know that has nothing to do with anything, but if you're into stalker, obsession films, juicy, twisty, scandalous, this one is for you. I promise you, you will not be sorry. I don't promise you actually, but if you like the films I like, you'll probably be very happy with that one. Next, I watched The Sitter. And this, I believe, was on Disney Plus, which Disney Plus has some really dark films. This is about a delusional babysitter. Yeah, it says it there, and that's definitely what it is. I was just looking for something good to watch in the background while I was doing my paper mache. And this film was just very odd. There's not really much to it. I probably wouldn't recommend it. You kind of like watch this night unravel from this woman who, I don't know if you're meant to feel sorry for her, but she's just, she's unhinged and you're not sure why, and you never really figure that out. So it's almost like the middle of a movie and you don't get to see either side. So I probably wouldn't recommend it for you. It was a very odd film. Next, I watched Jennifer's Body. I rewatched this again. I watched it last month, but I rewatched it again for a video I was doing, a deep dive on Jennifer's Body. If you do like deep dives, I do them sometimes, but not a lot of people watch them. The people who do watch them say that they really like them. So if you haven't checked it out, give it a watch and let me know what you think. I watched The Wicker Man. This was for my Does This Offend You stream that I did with Vicky. So if you're interested on our thoughts of The Wicker Man and Midsummer, check them out. I watched Best Laid Plans. Oh, this is one I do recommend. Write this one down. Write it down. This was also on Disney Plus. Disney Plus has some really dark films, hey. And I just saw Reese Witherspoon on the poster and I was like, I've never seen this film with her. And this is so cool. It's a film about these two men who meet in a bar and they're old friends, and then they get tangled up with this woman who's Reese Witherspoon. I don't want to say too much, but it's a twisted story of revenge. And yeah, it was really good. I did not pick where it was going, and it was very clever. It's like a crime mystery drama. Yeah, I do recommend that one. I watched Heat, which is a quite famous movie that I'd never seen. It's like a heist movie, I guess. It's got all the big ones in it. We got Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Val Kilmer, like, yeah, Ashley Judd, Natalie Portman when she's a kid. Yeah, it's interesting. I thought it was okay. It is probably exactly what you expect. It's just about a bunch of criminals who team up, you know, to do one last hurrah and everything that goes into it. Yeah, it's good for what it is. I then watched Spiral, which I have a review on, so go check that out. I rewatched Midsummer, and I like it even more than I ever did, because I watched the director's cut and it just changed my thoughts. I actually have a Patreon only video. I do Patreon bonus videos every single week, if you didn't know that. My Patreon is always linked down below. And in that video, I did talk about my personal feelings about Midsummer. But all in all, I just feel like I have a different perspective this time watching it. And I watched the director's cut, which has, I feel like gives it a lot more context. So I would really recommend if it's been like me, 2 years since you watched Midsummer, check it out again with the director's cut if you haven't watched it. It is definitely worth the extra time. I watched The Woman in the Window, which I did a video for where I talk about the book versus the movie. Check that out if you would like. I watched Snakes on a Plane for the first time in my life, and it wasn't bad at all. I was actually quite impressed. I thought it was going to be really lame, but it's actually quite funny. And I can't believe there's not a direct sequel. Obviously, you know, there's Snakes on a Train. I don't know, there's like a lot of like rip-offs, but I'm surprised it's not a sequel because I definitely think there's a market there. If you have put off Snakes on a Plane because you thought it was going to be just silly, I think it's worth checking out. For me, it was like a throwback to like 90s horror in a way. It just felt, I don't know, like they had those cheesy characters that are normally in those teen kind of films, but also the snakes, they have that point of view. It's almost like night vision, and they do that in those kind of older horror movies. So not older, like 90s, early 2000s. So yeah, I don't know, it was like kind of a throwback for me, which I was not expecting. Another first this month for me was Psychogorman. A lot of you guys have been telling me to watch this for a while. I finally watched it and I was so impressed. I actually watched with my patrons and it was so funny, so good, such a fun time. It's a lower budget like indie film about these two kids who summon this demon. I'm just going to put it in plain speak. It's obviously not how it comes to be, but there's just a lot more to it. And he is just amazing. The makeup, special effects, the costumes, the dialogue, the delivery, the acting, it all ticks boxes. It's just a funny, fun, interesting, inquisitive ride. It's one of my favorite things I've watched this year. I know it's from last year, but my gosh, it just hit Shudder. So if you do have Shudder, check it out. It is worth your time. This one really does have it all. It's definitely a new cult classic for sure. Next, I watched The Get Together because Courtney, she's in this, also known as Corny. I follow her. I followed her for like the last year on Instagram and I love her. She's just a comedian that I just really appreciate. So I watched this. I don't know how to explain it to you guys. It's just like 4 different stories from one night, one get together, which is like a party, and just told through different people in their 20s or 30s eyes. It's just a simple comedy drama, nothing special, but I just really, really love Courtney. There she is, Courtney Parchman. She's so funny and I love her so much. She's called Average Fashion Blogger on Instagram if you've ever seen her. During the last year and lockdown and all that, I got all of my joy from watching comedians on Instagram, and she was one that really got me through. Next, I watched Oxygen, which is a French Netflix film about a woman who's in this machinery. What is it called? It's a cryogenic chamber if you wanted the official term, not machinery. And she only has a certain amount of oxygen and it starts running out and she needs to figure out where she is and why she's there. I thought it was pretty good. It's a fun sci-fi. Nothing groundbreaking, but I do think it's good. It's worth the time. If you're into films like Buried, it's quite similar with the tension building and all that kind of stuff. It's like Buried, but sci-fi. So if you're a sci-fi fan, definitely check this one out. I do think it's worth your time. It's on Netflix. I watched Dave Made a Maze and Lace Crater. I talked about them in a recent video. I rewatched The Woman in the Window. Yes. Still gave it a 2.5. A lot of people said that they liked the film. I actually gave it 2.5. I didn't hate it. I watched A Quiet Place 2, which I have a video out on, and I'm so excited to hear what you guys think about this film when you finally get to go see it. If you get to see it in the cinema or if you have to wait, I just want to hear what you guys think about that film, so I can't wait to see your opinions. I watched I Am All Girls. This was a Netflix drama action based on a true story about trafficking, like human trafficking. It's about these 2 women who are trying to uncover this mass operation of, human trafficking, which of course is important. What they do is they try and weave in like relationships and like the goodie and the baddie and like a crime. I mean, obviously it's a crime, but then they try and put like this crime layer on top. And I just felt like it was too much and the story was just so unbelievable and it was on top of what was meant to be based on a true story. So I would not recommend this film. I don't think so. I watched Army of the Dead. You might have seen my review. I don't review films often on Letterboxd because I do these videos. I don't think I need to. You guys are so funny. Look at all these. I love you guys. You're so funny. So this is what I said about it. Don't worry, no spoilers. I totally appreciate I'm not the target audience and it's not a bad film by any means. But hear me out. If you replace the whole cast with the cast from The Fast and the Furious halfway through, apart from the German chap, I don't think I would have realized. I don't think that this film was bad. I know a lot of people are crapping on it, and there's some things that don't make any sense in it, like the no-fly zone. I don't get it, but I mean, we'll answer them down in the comments. We'll talk about them. I don't want to get into spoilers. Wow, it is voted really low. But it's not for me, so it's hard for me to judge whether this is a good film because this is a film I normally wouldn't watch anyway. Only reason I watched it is because zombies, and I knew a lot of people were going to talk about it, so I just wanted to check it out for myself. But as I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, well, what did I expect? Like, that's the whole thing. If people don't like this film, I just don't know what they were expecting because the reasons I don't love this film or I'm not really passionate about it are the reasons I don't watch these kinds of films, if that makes sense. But yes, the cast was very interesting concept where the first I wouldn't even say 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes montage of the film, you know, the opening sequence, where there's titles and stuff, they turn that into a film itself. So that's kind of like the original film, and then the film is a sequel. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. So interesting, they just didn't go for a trilogy. If you don't know what it's about these oddballs that have to come together with their own skills to try and obtain this money that is in a safe in Vegas, but Vegas has been swarmed with a virus outbreak where there's zombies. That's it. I don't know. I didn't hate it though. I feel like I'm very in the middle with films these days. Like, I don't hate things, I mean, except for that applesauce one. I don't really hate films. I just know that they're not for me now. And the last film I watched as of filming today, which today is the 28th, by the way, is Spiral. And Spiral is based on, I should probably get that off screen for YouTube, is based on a comic, or a manga, I should say. A lot of people said, oh, you should check out the manga. I've seen the manga. I have looked through it. I think it's really cool. I love the illustrations. The movie is about a town that gets obsessed with spirals, and it becomes this contagious obsession. It's pretty interesting. The visuals are the best part. It's very simple, and I talked about it on my recent video, which is about twisted fantasy, dark films. Couldn't say horror because some of them weren't technically horror, so just dark films. Anyway, that's what I watched this month on Letterboxd. Let's talk about TV. Okay, TV. I did not watch a lot of TV this month, which was very interesting. One thing I did start was The Office. I'd never seen The Office before. The American one. I'm watching the American one. I've seen, I think, episodes here and there of the UK one. Obviously, I like Ricky Gervais sometimes. Some of the things he says, no, absolutely not. I love a lot of what he stands for. Like, he's a vegan. I think he's just, some things he does is really cool. I love what he did at the Golden Globes. I thought it was hilarious and really awkward, obsessed. But some of the stuff he said recently in stand-ups, absolutely no. Anyway, so I wanted to watch The Office, but the funny thing is I wanted to watch it after I saw A Quiet Place, because when I went and saw A Quiet Place, I actually had, if you've seen the video, you know that the session I went to had a Q&A with the director, who obviously is in The Office. So yeah, I just thought, oh, this will be something fun and easy to watch in the background to chill out. After I watch my very intense, dark, twisted horror movies. And yeah, I'm loving it so far. I'm already on season 3, I think. And yeah, it's a good time. I don't have to tell you guys about The Office. You know what it is. But I'm finally getting around to that. So I just wanted to share that with you. I have started watching as well the new season of Love, Death, and Robots. The interesting thing about it is, I'm not sure if they're still doing it, but they did it with season 1 where they showed you them out of order, or they picked different orders for different people, and then I think they were going to see with the algorithm how many people stayed watching it, how many people finished the season, and if it changed how people viewed it. So I'm not sure if they're still doing that, but I felt like if you don't know what it is about, it's an anthology where every episode is different, and it's all different animations, and they're done in different styles. Everyone is about love, death, or robots, or all three. And I feel like we got 3 or 4 in a row that were exactly the same or quite similar. So we're still going through them. I watched there's one called The Tall Grass, which is very similar to the Stephen King, The Tall Grass. So if you haven't checked that one out, definitely check that out. I think you'd like it. But yeah, I still think it's fun. It's something fun to watch for 15 minutes at a time. It's always creative and interesting. So if you haven't checked out the first season, I do recommend that. The first season is so good. And then the last TV show I've been watching, or I finished watching this month, was The Circle US. I do have to say this once again, if you have not heard this, The Circle is a UK show. So even in America, when they go into The Circle, season 2's out, or yeah, just finished now, they're still in the UK. So they actually fly all the contestants to the UK for it. So it's a UK show, but the UK seasons, they have 1, 2, and 3, and they're the best seasons of the show you'll ever see. The American ones don't stand a chance in comparison. They're just not as juicy, not as raw, not as real, and the characters aren't as lovable and interesting, and it's just not the same. The chemistry is just not the same. But in saying that, I did finish watching season 2. It was a lot. I watched with some friends on my Discord. It was really funny. I think it's a show you just have to watch with other people. If you aren't aware of what The Circle is, it's a reality TV show, a social reality TV show where people are locked into an apartment building and they're all in different apartments. They can't see each other, but they can only talk to each other through this device called The Circle, which is pretty much like talking to Siri. They can interact with each other and, have messaging conversations, but they can't see each other. And the whole point is to kind of catfish each other and claw their way to the top and become the most popular player. And then the winner gets $100,000. I think I would be really bad at this show, but it's really interesting to watch. If you like TV shows like Survivor, it's the same kind of politics in that. So if you're into like the social dynamics and all those kind of games, that's the same as what you kind of get in The Circle, just on a different level. It's also a very social distancing friendly TV show, so I like that. Anyway, that's everything I watched this month. It's been a weird month, I feel like, for TV especially, because I didn't watch anything really hardcore, but there is such a good TV show coming out next month. I can't wait to talk to you about it in what's coming up on VOD. And my movies were a little bit all over the place too. We're starting to get back into cinemas. Like the cinemas have been open here for a while, but we're only just getting the big horror movies coming out because they're able to come out in other countries as well. So it's all coming back up, guys. It's all happening, and I'm very excited to be here. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I do 2 videos every single week talking about horror movies, talking about thrillers, and giving you my opinion, and hopefully a lot of good recommendations. I hope you're having a fantastic day. My voice is going. Stay spooky and stay safe. Bye, friends.